So what we're going to do today is play tag. Jeremy and I are going to talk about performance management. So what we are planning to do, this is our idea stage. We are at what we would define from the IT perspective is like a design stage, which is past the requirement stage. So we have some requirements. In the design of the performance management, we are stuck. So we want you guys to help us out. So no pressure, but that's what the purpose of the presentation is. So who we are, my name is Nirmal Sinha. I'm the workforce advisor. My role in Midland DHB in HealthShare is to plan the workforce for days to come. So all the different types of workforce, how many we will require as we continue to do what we're doing today, or do we need to change? Jeremy will introduce himself when he comes across, or yeah? Cool. So in terms of performance management, I'll take you through a story. Very typical. Most organizations would have heard this or are probably experiencing it. So we found that in DHP, I won't name that DHP, will remain nameless for the discussion. In that DHP, discussions were not happening. So people are generally talking to each other, but they're not recording the discussions in terms of the performance management process. Or even if they were having those discussions, the quality was not up to the standards. So both reasons. One, the managers were not equipped, and secondly, what they were talking about was primarily clinical things. So an example of that, they were talking about patient notes, talking about how the patient treatment goes, or what interventions could be held differently, but not they were generally talking about performance management, nothing about career. Nothing about development was happening, or even if it was happening, it was not recorded. So that's where we were. So what happens next? We also been talking about that. We come up with a nice piece of paper where everybody goes and fills in some goals, some objectives, has discussions, and then complete that at the end of the year. So there are three key stakeholders in this process. One is the individual, the person, the employee, the staff member who is there. The second is the manager, the individual's direct report. So it could be a team leader or it could be a charge nurse. And the third one was organization, which is the general organization, HR and the senior leadership. What's in for the HR and the senior leadership? The key thing they were interested in it was to combine what was coming out from all these performance appraisals. So there are lots of people talking about lots of things, but how to make sense of that information and probably use that information to make some decisions. So that's where HR and senior leadership were interested in. So what happens? Everyone starts filling up those forms and files getting created in each department. Everybody files them neatly. At the end of the year, sends it to HR. And what does HR do? Too hard to do, 6,000 people. So just put it away, file it away. So effectively what was happening is just been recorded, but there was no information being used for any purposes in the organization. So we were all ticking the boxes and everything is going on and everybody is happy that we have ticked all the boxes, we're done on time, but effectively nothing has changed. So just to take a step back, what was the view of the performance management? Very simple. What the staff member did, how they did it, and what sort of support they were expecting from the manager or the employer. So performance management was a process of clarifying the expectations, setting goals, evaluating performance, and delivering feedback. So very simple objective of the whole process. And how that happens, there's a planning meeting. So at the start of every year, where objectives are set. There is a midterm meeting where the employee and the manager talk about ongoing support and if things are working or they are on track, not on track. There is an interim review. We recommend it's 3 to 6 months, but I can assure you it only happens at the end of the year. And there is only one meeting which occurs. None of the first 3 meetings occur. Only the annual review. Everybody sits down, fills a piece of paper, and that's the end of the process. So what the three stakeholders wanted? They wanted better accountability. This is all the theory. Everybody wanted the same thing in different fashions. They wanted better accountability. They wanted staff members wanted regular feedback. Staff members and the manager wanted to support each other in professional development. And this, from the manager's perspective, if they have everybody's career development goals in one place, then they could probably support and bring mechanisms to support them better. And the result, that's the key thing, where everyone wanted an improved employee performance, meaning that employees were delivering what they're supposed to deliver, and the organization was in turn delivering better health care to the community. So that was the expectation. Where we are stuck currently, so all these things are being currently met by using probably Mahara as a tool. Where we are stuck is we are not able to track progress as an organization, and we are not able to report from each other's portfolio. Because they are siloed out, it's up to the individual to share, and we talk about that in detail. We do not have a mechanism whereby we can collect some of that information which is sitting in the individual portfolios. Couple of things important to mention here. There is no money, there is no budget, so our capital outlay was zero. What we aimed to do in this process was to reduce time to record and report. So that's a very important two aspects. There is no money for any development or any third-party tools to be brought in. And then the aim is to, so that make it easy for the staff member as well as the manager to record, and for the organization to report on it. I'll hand it over to Jeremy.
All right, thanks, Nirmal. My name's Jeremy. My role in HealthShare is as a learning technologist and instructional designer. So primarily I support the development of Moodle courses, but Mahara is a tool we've been using recently, so that is another piece of software that I'll be supporting the use of. So as the previous session, Anne showed you how we're using Mahara for the PDRP process. As you all know, there's a whole lot more that it can do. So we thought, well, we've got this requirement of a capital outlay of zero. We already have this tool. And there's a couple of really nice features, a really nice tool in Mahara that marry up really nicely with a performance review process. So I'll show you our concept and how it all works. So we've got the good practice of setting the agreed targets and the standards and the meetings and all these things that the plans is set out to do, and by varying degrees does or doesn't get done. So we've got plans in Mahara. A really nice tool, very simple. It's a to-do list. And if we marry that up with a journal, we can actually get quite a nice continuing professional development plan. We can set some goals in the plans. We can reflect on those goals and progress in the journal. We can get people to comment on those, on the reflections and the progress, and we can wrap them up into a page, and we can call that our annual review. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail. All right, so ideally, within the first 3 months of an employee starting or at their once every year, the manager and the employee meet in person. So that's nothing different there, but that's an important aspect where they can discuss the individual's position, where they fit within the organisation, their career goals. It's one of the things that Nirmal mentioned was the performance reviews have been sort of very clinically focused. So, for example, I put a needle in really well and the patient didn't say ouch. What we're looking for is where that actually fits within the organisational goals. So right up the top somewhere, there's the Ministry of Health, and they set us these lovely targets. Across the region, we have a regional services plan, which says, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is all how we expect things to be done. Underneath that, each DHB has its own annual plan that takes the important aspects out of the regional services plan. And then that cascades down through managers and departments all the way down to the employee. So one of the ones that's kind of been quite large, a target for the last few years is reducing smoking and offering smoking cessation support to patients. So that's a ministry goal. It's also a regional services plan goal. It's also a DHB annual plan goal, and in most cases that actually applies to a lot of clinical staff, because at each point they meet, they should be checking on if that patient has been offered smoking cessation support, and if they haven't, they should then take that step and do it at that point. So that's kind of an example of how an individual can fit into the big puzzle.
Sorry, as part of your big puzzle, do you then have a competency that you relate that? So that would, to me, that would be 4.3 around quality. So if you've got like a workplace that you put that evidence into?
No, because this is about setting individual goals. It may relate to a competency, but it's about an individual's goals for that year. They could reference that particular competency if they like, because it applies to all staff, not just nurses or clinical staff. It'll apply to all
performance appraisal rather
yep.
than discipline specific.
Yep, that's right. Cool. So after the face-to-face meeting with the manager, where they've talked about their place in the organisation and their aspirations and goals and what they need to do for the year, the employee happily goes off to Mahara and says, well, these are the things that I'm going to do. So this is a mock-up of a Mahara plan. You have your completion date, a description of what you're going to do, and you simply say, yes, I have done that. So that's kind of a way of keeping the employee focused on what they can do. From my personal experience of performance reviews, I set goals with my manager. My manager's very proactive and very good at that. I have a Word document. I don't know where that Word document is. It's somewhere. I might have a printed copy in my drawer. With Mahara, I know where Mahara is. I've got that bookmarked. I can go in at any stage. I can remind myself, this is the stuff that I'm focusing on this year. So that's kind of how it keeps it alive and how we'll keep it real all the time. All right, so the step 2, this is in the sort of, in the paper-based process, this is in the 3 to 6 month stage, but we can do this anytime in Mahara. We don't have to kind of sit down at any given point and do it. We can achieve something. We can finish a project or a piece of work, or have a great experience, and I can write about it. I can say, these are the things that I did to meet my key result, which is one of my goals that I've set. And then what I can do is I can invite other people to comment. I can invite my manager to comment and say, how do you think I'm going? Am I on the right track? If I've done something really cool, which I will have done, I can invite my colleagues or other people to say, can you give me a thumbs up because I'm really cool and I've done something awesome? Or otherwise, can you just give me some constructive feedback? So that's a great way of involving more than just one person. So at the interim review and at the annual review, what we can do is we can actually curate that those comments. So we've got the journal, we've got a whole lot of journal entries. We could tag them. Not sure if kind of that's going to work with the vast majority, but we can curate them into a page and we can share that page with the manager who can have a look at that page and comment and say, sometimes the manager can offer support and advice, but sometimes it's just about removing roadblocks, helping them with time management, helping them with prioritizing, offering or suggesting courses if there's a skills gap. So the annual review, not too different from the interim review. It's a page. The way I see it is one part of the page is the plan. The other part of the page is the chosen highlights of the journal. So the individual chooses those highlights. The manager doesn't choose those highlights. The individual says, well, this is a great reflection I did. This is some great feedback I had, and that this is how I'm demonstrating that I'm meeting my goals. All right, so this is the part we gather around the campfire, audience participation. Do you think this process works for the employee? Is anybody awake?
Yes.
Yes, Matt.
I think it would. I think it
Yeah.
can actually work in lots of different aspects.
Yep.
Because it's quite simply using tools that are there. We run something similar, not in health, but something similar, but outside of Mahara, but we can actually see the use of Mahara in this case as well.
Cool, thanks. Any barriers, any other kind of things? Yeah.
So if I was audited by Nursing Council, I have to provide evidence of my competencies. So that would mean presumably you have the competencies somewhere else, so I would have to do two processes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because this is an organisational one.
So actually, I have to then go to two different spots to do that, whereas currently I actually have one document that has everything in it.
Right. Yep. So.
I like the idea
Yep.
of this. I like the idea of the fact that you're looking at it from an organisational perspective, but actually from a personal perspective, me having to provide additional evidence. That would be problematic.
Can you think of how you could be mirroring those two up?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll give it some thought.
Because I think we often have this, not very common, but kind of the situation where you have, especially when you have a professional body, where you need to work for, that the organization also has a different way of looking at it. And so one way could be, well, should the organization adopt what the accreditation association kind of requires, or can we kind of use the same thing just in slightly different ways and kind of make a copy of it and then put it into the organizational work?
Well, in some respect, it would almost be really useful, like in third, to have, okay, I'm a nurse, so I'll put in the collection for a nurse. And so actually, then I've got the competencies here, I can also do this. So that would be really useful to have collections for different professional bodies.
And
Then you could actually go, hang on, I'm a doctor, bang, I'll pull these ones up, I'm a physio, bang, I'll pull these ones up. But actually, you're still doing this, but you're also looking at regulatory bodies.
and why not use those same pieces of those same artifacts, those same pieces of evidence? Yeah.
And that then would be useful because then you're only filling one document.
Yep.
And that's kind of where it comes down to, is contractual requirements around the performance appraisals of the employer. And having been a team leader where you're going to try and align the professional and the contractual and employee employee expectations that they're going to get these reviews. That is probably the best way to align it, is have that savvy manager who makes sure that whatever objectives they set can also be used over here for their professional requirements as well. And that's probably a learning institutionally to bring out the managers to skill them to help the employees who actually aren't necessarily very good at recognising what they're doing and what they're developing and how that fits into the objectives of the professional perspective. The job manager's job is actually to help them bridge that and see how they can use both so they're not doing two jobs. And then if they do have to go to two different places, it's not quite so complicated.
Yeah, I think that's probably the crux of it. It's the manager's job, and it's a skilled manager that can do that really well. And I think that's possibly where the support needs to come into it, the support of the managers. Cool. All right, so question 2. Do you think it works for the organisation or the institution?
Yeah, this will be the harder one to say yes to, because there's usually just so many people in the way of making a process that's going to roll out across our entire institution.
Yeah.
Just thinking of where we're from.
Yeah. Cool.
I would say yes to that too, but from a non-nursing point of view.
Yeah.
Because as one of the smaller allied technical scientific professionals, of which there's more than 30 and mostly HBs, they don't necessarily have the groundswell or the mass to have these kind of processes within their workforce. So if the institution wants to meet their obligation to performance review all of those different types of staff, then they're facilitating the process. So from the cold face of the institution, I would say.
Yeah, cool. All right. So a bit of an interactive poll, hopefully. Okay, so back to our requirements we set earlier on. Can Mahara deliver accountability, expectations, and a context for work? Yes?
With modification.
Yes, with modification. I didn't put one of those in. Regular and better quality feedback. Absolutely, with the...
Well, it depends on your manager.
The system can. This is the system, and the system can. Support for professional development and career progression. Good. Improved employee performance.
Only the individual can improve.
That's a bit of a tricky one.
Yeah.
Question mark or across? Question mark. Legally defensible documentation and completions.
It's the test of legally defensible. Yeah.
I think it's too hard for a Friday afternoon. Ability to track. Now this is where we're stuck. Ability to track everyone's progress. Now I'll look at Christina on this one. The reporting. Is there anything existing that we can get to say what people are doing in Mahara?
Not existingly, but with the smart evidence functionality that University of Canberra has started to look into,
Right.
It would be possible, because there the idea is that we take a competency framework, map it onto a matrix, hook it up to pages, and then go across the competencies and say, okay, which page matches up with which competency, where have I reached it? And that way you would have a visual overview of which competencies are you still missing, where do you still need more evidence, and that would be then available to the individual, to the assessor, and then ideally the assessor also has a view where they can just see everyone across it, so that they know, okay, across all the 10 people that I need to look at, where is everyone at? So it can definitely be done, and it would be wonderful if more people got involved in it, and so that we can make it happen.
Yeah, cool. So I'll put a question mark on that one. Report all individual goals aligned to organisational goals. Probably not at this stage. That's all right.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
Just on that ability to track everyone's progress, are you after the ability to track how far they're through that 4-step process? Like, have
Yeah.
they touched it, or are they 2 steps, 3 steps, or 4 steps?
So yeah, the thinking is like have you set your goals? Have you have you had your sort of your interim review? Have you had your annual review? Not necessarily caring about kind of what they've done, but have they attended to the process?
That might be quite a good point to come and try to capture them and just check to see if they are actually doing that.
Yeah, so that's more of a compliance thing. Like, are people moving, or are they stuck, or are they not starting at all? So that's more of that, not the content part of it. Whether they are writing rubbish or they're writing meaningful things. That's probably not the intent there. It's just the compliance part of it. Yeah.
The tracking process.
Could you use a template and then just track the time modified on each page? Say, has page 1 been modified? When was the last time? Has page 2? When was the last time you write a simple?
Yeah, I think it could be relatively simple, or even just say, has that person accessed the system 3 times in a year? Have they, or did they go in once?
Do nothing yet.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, it's quite interesting when you do a search on Google or on the Mahara forums about reporting in Mahara, because there's this sort of big cohort who are kind of very strongly against it and say, no, that kind of breaks everything that we ever set out to do. This is an individual space. How dare you even think about such a thing? Bad, go away. And it's quite funny. So I mean, I was sort of thinking about that this morning, because I'm not a purist, but I do strongly believe that the way that this would work is if it's owned by the individual. So we'd have to be very careful, but I think we can do that by saying, this as an organisation, these are the things that we are going to record and report on. And if we're very upfront and say that, I think people will be comfortable about it. If they've got some sort of suspicion that we're doing something more, then and they see it as just another thing that the organisation is doing to keep an eye on us, then I don't think it'll work any better than a piece of paper. So we've got some options. We could stay with paper. We could use Mahara because it meets all our requirements. Don't think it does exactly. We could modify Mahara to enable reporting with our zero budget. I'm not sure how well we'd get along with that, but we might be able to find some. Or we modify our reporting requirements. And I think that's probably where I'm tending, is we've got this kind of culture of, an HR kind of type culture of everything must be recorded and stored for, 7 years, 10 years or something. But really, do we? And that's something I think we really need to actually ask the organisations, what do you actually really need? And I think we might need to revisit those requirements. Other options, use Moodle, because we've also got Moodle. Use Moodle with a plugin like Exabus or something like that. We have had a look at Exabus. It's great for a very prescribed framework. We don't have a prescribed thing here. We're setting individual goals. Don't think that's going to work. But can we modify? Should we? All right. Should we modify Mahara? Yes. Okay. Good.
Could you use something like PWIC for some of the tracking and reporting? That's web analytics.
I think that would give us some great insights. I don't think it would give us to say, hey, the individual's done these bits properly.
It could partially because PWIC actually tracks user profiles.
Okay.
So if the API was hooked up to Mahara, that you could feed in usernames and so on, then you could also get data on individuals.
Okay.
It wouldn't really give you the reporting kind of in the sense, have they completed a plan and things like that, but you could say how much time have they spent in the portfolio itself, what kind of which areas have they looked at and so on.
You don't have to give the data to Google, and you can do it internally.
Yeah, I quite like that idea. I did see that presentation last year, because we do run Google Analytics on our Moodle, but we haven't sort of gone that road with Mahara yet. Cool. So, just a general vote. Which one? That one?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Not promising anything, but. Cool. All right. I'd just like to thank you for your attention, but most importantly for your contribution.